at least from what they're playing's perspective. So here we are into the draft for game number 2. A lot of change-ups necessary here for Quandong Freaks. We need to not see the classic CV Max stubbornness when it comes to draft, trying to defend something that definitely did not work.
And it's not even that, and I kind of want to echo the desk on this, I do think there were some issues with Kwangdong's draft, but I don't think it was bad by any means. But after a game like that, just give him something entirely different. Don't let them play the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to feel so easy to just... As soon as one thing goes wrong, I think you're going to be completely taken out of it and get flashbacks to last game, which was just immeasurably rough as the Orianna is going to get taken away. Lucian or Razir have been our most prevalent B1 picks, and it's going to be the Lucian, which has really only looked good in the hands of Guma and Keria, which doesn't tell us a whole lot.
No, not really. Even then, against Gen G, it wasn't as dominant as it was here today. The Melio going to be picked away, though. This time around, this is a tactic that we have seen employed very effectively. Of course, with the Aphelios to pair with it, it does work much better. We saw that demonstrated by, of course, Nongshim in our very first match of the season. This was the pivot that was utilized by DRX, which was to use the Nami as well. We saw that earlier today. And that might be where Keria is going. I have always massively enjoyed watching Keria play the Nami. He has been very, very good in the past. And Faker, now with the Corki, Tidecaller's blessing value out the wazoo.
Keria is a solid Nami. But is he Plata? That's what I want to see.
Oh, that's big shoes.
Yeah.
Big shoes.
I know. And want to echo what Orcsman mentioned earlier, although I do think it's not as pronounced. But with the Melio, you're probably going to go again for the on-hit Varus, which I do think is considerably weaker, as has been mentioned. It really feels like the Lethality with the buffs, the Lethality items, really is a great option. Again, as opposed to the I play Lethality and then I don't really do a whole lot. Even in mid-game, where it's supposed to be a very strong spike, probably going to get taken away. And I do think that the moment that the Lucian comes through as Kwangdong, you're kind of locked into picking up the Melio and the Vi, because if you pick Vi, but they have Melio, then you're not going to be very happy about that. It's going to take away a lot of your threat, and obviously Lucian, Melio, extremely strong. Rel also going to get denied. Now Oner still can go to Maokai or Jarvan or Lee, and he will be perfectly happy.
It looks like a very Maokai draft so far. I'm a little bit worried.
No, he wouldn't do that.
He wouldn't?
Well, I mean, I don't know. He wouldn't if he had the choice. He would play Lee every single game.
True,
we both know that. We'll see if that is what comes through here. Dudu still will be respected. And last time, they went for a blind pick for Dudu, and it looks like, again, they do it. This time, I like it a little bit more because it is Rumble. And Zeus has shown time and time again that he is not to be trusted by the enemy team. You don't want him in Rumble. No. Because he will toast your top laner and your team.
And it does mean that both teams have an equalizer, which is a bit of fun.
Hey!
As Faker's package or Valkyrie, either mini equalizer or huge equalizer. There is a Jarvan. Okay, a little bit of a different tack here, as Oner going for much more of that engage. Bit of a hover on what Dudu played in the last game. The Aatrox into the Rumble hasn't always been the easiest, and man, if this is what happens, think of the teamfight opportunities. Not to mention the front line provided for both Corki and Lucian. It's pretty crazy.
We've gone full circle where if you want to have fun now, you're like, I haven't played a tank in so long. Yep. Get out of here with these carry matchups. I'm doing it. No Gnar, unfortunately.
I really like that sign. So Jisun just told me the sign says pick Gnar, and we get an Ornn instead. So that's not exactly the same thread as LeBlanc, going to be the last pick here for Bulldog, something that has been on the ban list a lot. And in fact, feels like blue side bans are often, the LeBlanc slides in their third. This time around, it was, of course, the Aphelios that was on the list to not allow that to be the answer to the Lucian that T1 picked up as their first pick. So I like this draft a whole lot more for Quandong Freaks, and we'll just see whether the outcome is going to be different, because the amount of lane domination in this game should be much lower, because Ornn and Corki not necessarily known for early laning prowess.
For the viewers and the Guangdong fans' sake, I hope that you're right.
Yeah.
Atlas, because I do agree with you. That bot lane is, of course, still going to be a point of strength, and Oner is on a pick that has an incredible amount of early game agency. So would expect him to try and do as much as possible.
It was like
the
Faker
head
took his head off,
know.
put it on a stick, and he had a rose on his neck.
I'm not sure.
Very strange.
We'll see if T1 actually gets the late game with a late game draft, or if it's more of a repeat of game number 1. For Guangdong, mid-jungle, way stronger. And that, to me, needs to be big here, or we're going to see a repeat of that first game.
Yep. Guangdong, it can't get worse than game 1. See whether it goes better in game 2. All right, we can hear some desperation, a little bit of Guangdong fans kind of off sync as OK
Bulldog.
He's upset about what happened in game number 1, and he is ready to play ball.
This is the only way to come back after a game like that, though, where you get absolutely
bodied,
mega bodied by Faker and Oner.
Yeah,
you know that both of them.
But also after being chain ganked like that, to have the bravado to say, "Well, I just won't take flash.
Yeah.
If you're not going to let me have flash to use in lane, then I just won't take it." How about that?
He is playing against Corki, so I do think it feels better because Corki has zero way of actually denying you escape from the Jarvan, right? Oner can obviously EQ flash on top of you. That is something that you're going to have to deal with, but we'll see. Bulldog, what he can do this time around.
Let's have the fleet footwork. Looks like we are going to go for the more AD flavor of the LeBlanc. Corki pretty good in this matchup, as it turns out, in the LCK. I think we have Showmaker to blame for a bit of those statistics.
And I do wonder, because we don't know, obviously, as a Dudu did not pass the Huni test, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Went to teleport.
This is also the Zeus on. So I did mention that they shouldn't have too much laning prowess, but when Zeus plays on, it's more like a bully champion.
It harkens back to the days of Ornn of old.
Yeah.
Where he would just go unsealed spellbook and solo kill you at level 6. Yeah. I remember those days.
Yes. Okay, Tycole's blessing here is Gumayusi looking to try and get rid of Taeun and Andal's summoner spells. Does manage to get the heal out of the Melio. And now they're getting zoned away. Cozy Campfire coming on in as finally level 2 is gained. And Gumayusi has to use the barrier. So slight summoner spell advantage for Guangdong Freaks towards that bottom side. As one thing I was going to say before is I feel like Corki is one of Faker's weakest champions. Purely because Corki has some of the best skins in the game. And Faker doesn't use them. So he can't be a doggo.
That's a really interesting angle. I haven't heard that one before. And you know what? You do have a point.
Yeah.
Never thought about that. The same reason why Veigar is like, eh.
True. He can't be Gandalf.
Makes sense. Yeah. Same with Ahri, right? Like there's a ton of great skins that he doesn't get to use.
Yep, there are definitely a lot of Ahri skins. Although it feels now like base Ahri skin is the Faker skin. It's really weird because no one ever uses base Ahri.
Because there's 20 skins.
Yeah. Sure. So anyway, that's just my little opinion there. So far, so much better for Guangdong Freaks. Look at that. Down, no gold. Everything's... I know I'm talking about things like this at 3.5 minutes.
Hey.
However, I'm going to stay positive until something proves it otherwise, okay?
Kaz got a full clear off and has his buffs.
There we go.
This is already a great improvement.
It's way better than last time. Ooh, fire kick, not quite going to land there from Arndil, but we do have the hail of arrows from Taeun connect.
Now, I do got to say, obviously there is a possibility to go for a 4-1 style of composition, but to go for outside of the poke, I think a champion that mainly is going to be looking to side lane in the LeBlanc, particularly with Ignite, is somewhat of a risk when you're playing against an enemy team with Jarvan and Ornn. So we'll see to what extent they can use that as the gank on top.
Oh dear, okay, Dudu already flashing, does avoid the knock-up, but Oner's able to close the gap. Great knock-up there as the Bellows Breath comes in. Brittle is procced, and Dudu is dead. Oner collects first blood yet again.
Very far up the lane was Dudu. Well, at least he has teleport to get back to lane quickly. It's something. And maybe now an opportunity for Cuz. Don't forget, heal was down. Barrier still down as well.
Oh, the answering play. All right, let's see. As Gumayusi trying to get himself to safety, does get pulled back, will be taken down. Let's see whether they keep themselves alive under the turret here as Taehoon really wanting to get this kill. Is the barrier going to be used, and now Oner will turn up. That will keep Keria alive. A second World Atlas is going to be picked up here by Gumayusi, but the 1-1. Quandong Freak's able to actually answer this time around.
I'll take it, Atlas.
Absolutely,
that's a
staying
win.
Positive.
The cross map worked as we take another look here. Unfortunately, Dudu just about to get this wave fully pushed in, even with the sidestep. As soon as Zeus is able to get the knock-up, I already know Dudu's fate is sealed, was overheated as well, so no last-minute shield to keep him alive. And here we do see, I think it's actually Undil that gets the Q, which makes sure that Guma can't flash because he did have his flash available. Otherwise, could have gone for the Q on that, or for the flash rather on the Q of Cuz. And as a result, a win for Quandong, which is the first legitimate win that they've gotten in the series thus far.
Absolutely. Still not going to be reflected in the gold or anything like that, but looking for some Kevins here. As Cuz already taken down Steve, only got Bob and Kev to go. So that is going to help out, especially when, like you were talking about, there is side laning opportunities, especially for this AD LeBlanc. So some positives. Quandong Freaks this time just hoping for a more even game of League of Legends. The last one was certainly a little bit more of a show match here for T1. They're going to start off the first Drake here, going to be Hextech out of the gate.
And I'm not convinced yet that this is a good trade. And we're going to have to see as the season progresses, whether or not giving up an early dragon is worth it. But Quandong, just with some threatening and some posturing, is actually able to deny an opportunity to T1 to trade. So I'm going to be feeling good about that one.
Yep, not the end of the world. Do have a Spectre's Cowl now built up by Zeus, going to make things a little bit harder for Dudu. Also has a gold advantage. And for Ornn to be, a CS advantage. For Ornn to be in the lead by about a wave against Rumble doesn't feel fantastic if you are the Rumble player, but it's sort of the result if you do get targeted for the first Oner gank. And he's been very good this year. Just being able to be in the right place at the right time, get T1 off on the right foot. Because there were, you know, some criticisms levied towards Oner, especially during the summer season.
Yeah.
I think so much of that was remedied at Worlds, and it looks like he's carried that forward here into 2024.
As Cuz is 6, that is quite big. Oner isn't just yet.
Yep, they're dashing forward. Gumayusi going to get slowed down. There's the cease and desist. They pick up the Lucian, and he is going to be taken down. 0-2 now for Gumayusi out of the gate. Quandong Freaks find a gold lead.
Cuz with a really crisp timing there, actually hitting level 6 before his counterpart. Oner doesn't have his ultimate just yet. As a result, Cuz is able to lock down Guma, the biggest damage source. And Quandong put themselves on a gold lead. Not just that, but Taehoon definitely going to be able to, at the very least, pick up a plate here. And now T1 is a composition that is extremely happy to get towards the later stage of the game. There's Corki and Ornn. I feel like that's fairly self-explanatory. But if Quandong can get a good mid-game going, there's opportunities there.
Yeah, chains do connect. Decent little knock-up there from Oner, but he's pretty squishy into Cuz right now, who is really feeling himself on one of his favorite champions. And we know that when Cuz gets off on the right foot, he is a man to be reckoned with. Just going to have to carry that momentum, because I think that there's a gold number that's much higher than the lead that Quandong Freaks have that they need to get to really be in a properly winning position based on the compositions. This Faker ticking up to level 8 now. He's got a big one in the chamber.
Yeah,
and yeah, Corki is, we've already seen that he just does a pretty ludicrous amount of damage.
And the main reason for that for me is that Quandong doesn't have a traditional frontliner. Let's take another look at this. Really, to me, the level lead here is the big thing, as well as the fact that Taehoon actually is able to sidestep thanks to the heal the bubble. And no ultimate is available for Guma or Oner. That extra damage RCC could have been crucial, but instead, it's a really nice timing there from Cuz. Guma and Keria also wanted to play towards it because they thought that with Oner they would have a man advantage. But Taeun is quite fat, is actually sitting on a gold lead, but we do have another gank from Oner. No flash on Taeun.
Yeah, tidal wave comes in. Taeun going to avoid it. There is the sidestep on the Chains of Corruption as well, as Oner has one thing on his mind. There's the knockup. Bubble connects as well, and the culling to finish it off. Cuz just not going to break his stride, going to stay on that dragon. No way that he could have saved his AD carry there. So Taeun sent to the death chamber for the first time so far this game. Still better than game number 1, but this is T1 moving themselves back into a good position as the Ornhorn has been rang. There's the knock-up onto Dudu. Equalizes decent as now he's looking to try and turn it, but oh my goodness, there's the flash forward. Zeus wants to find even more. Needs another Bellows Breath or a dash. As there it is, he does dash on forward and the Bellows Breath comes in. That's the solo kill for the Ornn.
Zeus doesn't even need Unsealed Spellbook Atlas. No problem whatsoever. Just takes him down into 1v1.
Yeah, we mentioned it before. It is Battle Ornn. You know, he is certainly a fighter. We've mentioned this for many years now, that Ornn has a lot of different classes. If you're making a D&D character, of course something that LS spoke about all the time.
Faker's package.
Yeah. Can get out of any situation here as now Rocket not going to quite land there as Bulldog just trying to be frustrating. Remember, these two, if they do go to Quandong Freaks, they will have the Void Mites, the mini Kevs. As Zeus standing in here, there is 4. And this last one, because is able to grab it, does mean that they will have a lot of assistance taking down these turrets. So there we go, able to lock down 5. Nicely done.
Yeah, solid decision on T1's part to give this up, but very well done by Kwangdong to identify that even with Dudu, none of his results, but just hold up, Taeun.
Yeah, another big teleport towards the backside. Faker's turned up, and Taeun's going to flash in. He's looking to try and go for the 1-for-1, and he is going to be able to find it there. Faker, though, he'll collect 2 for himself, and it is a T1 trade. Still making the best of a bad situation there, you could say, for Taeun. And Bulldog going to be able to return the favor as well here in this mid lane, grabbing a couple of plates for himself as Oner turns up. Also, shout out to their new challenger support there with his skin choice. Picking up the Fnatic Jarvan. You love to see it. I believe that's Cyanide's skin. Is it not?
As far as I know, yeah.
At that point in time, it's Season 1, it's a long time ago. Let's have a look at this one again.
Yeah, this is the one that happened way earlier where you do see initially, because it's like maybe I can go over, but you're able to do the dragon quite quickly as Vi because of your W passive, does a lot of damage, so decides to go and secure the dragon instead. Definitely the right call in my opinion. And then here, it's the continuous brittle procs that make Ornn so deceptively strong. Here everything looks fine for Dudu, and then the moment that that hits, he knows he's in trouble. Zeus just waiting for the cooldowns, doesn't even have his item yet at this point. Doesn't even need to get the Empowered Auto.
No.
Just the breath is enough. We take a look here. Taeun actually becomes quite close. He actually autos a minion there once, but fortunately still is able to get the kill in, because if that is a 2-for-0 trade, even with the plates taken in mid, I don't think it's worth it. Now for Kwangdong, obviously Cork is going to be a problem. It's a really big win for Faker, but on the whole, that's the best you're going to get in that scenario.
Absolutely. And Oner now in position. Cuz moves on down as well. Both of them standing on their own control wards. Feeling pretty safe about the situation. Another plate does go over. Gonna have a look at it again. Oh my goodness, 17-game winning streak as now Gumayusi takes Cuz on a merry jaunt, but he's still going to go down. Oner fighting them within the Cataclysm here, but it's not going to be a good sign. And now Bulldog's turned up. Oh my goodness, this turret really has... Yeah, it's a bit angry, as Keria is looking a bit like a fish out of water, Chronicler. What do you reckon? Yeah, Cuz going to be able to take that kill. Nice bubble to grab one on the back end, but that's a bit of a disaster for T1 on the bottom side of the map. Nicely played here from Quandong Freaks.
Really big win there for Kwangdong, and this game looking very different from the previous one. Taeun also going to get a ton of extra gold there with the pickup, as it's just Guma. He's trying to bait it out, but the rest of his team isn't actually close by enough, and then he doesn't actually get to do any damage, which means that once Oner is on top of Taeun and Undale, they can stay in the cozy campfire, heal up enough, and are completely fine. Bulldog makes it look very scary, tanks the initial turret shot, but I think it's mainly to make sure that Keria can't actually get away. And then the wave is pushed in, Cuz hits the Q, and then Keria, nicely done, does get the bubble to get at least a counter kill, but Guangdong, and at the hands of Cuz, looking way better. Like, night and day between game number 1 and number 2. It's not enough by itself. Obviously, T1, as mentioned, with Corki, Oner, always going to have a chance and are going to still be very scary to deal with in team fights. But I'm impressed. That's a turnaround from a mental perspective as well.
No, absolutely. Really have gone in with the mindset of a clean slate and now currently have about an 800 gold lead. As the Guangdong Freaks now moving Taeyoon and Andal towards this mid lane, try and get that siege worked out as we tick towards the 15-minute mark. Bubble going to connect onto the Varus. Tidal Wave, I guess just sailing by majestically, having a good time. Sometimes you do want to just throw out some of that damage. Taeyoon with the most damage dealt in the game. And they're looking for their second dragon. Guangdong Freaks will be able to see exactly what kind of soul we're dealing with, and Guangdong Freaks is going to be very close to it as well. And it is going to be Ocean Soul. Oh no, Chemtech Soul. So we'll have some Mega Cones to deal with. Sorry, Valdez.
Don't think we had a Chemtech Soul. Maybe we had one, but
I don't think we've had one yet. But it's also, you know, it's okay because, you know, stopwatch is removed. So I could imagine that Valdez is like feeling like it's not the worst thing in the world to have a few of these ridiculous plants around.
I just thought you would say that he needs a new enemy. So.
Oh no, this was already his enemy.
No, I know, but it was secondary to his main antagonist.
I don't know about that. I think that, like, Valdez respected the stopwatch a lot, you know? Like, it was the best item in the game. Like, he knew that, but
the cones are just
the cones
pure
he's
evil.
just always hated. I
look at that. Look how fun that is.
much. I actually think they're really cool, the Mega Cones and stuff like that. But I can see how they could frustrate. As Cuz moving in, we're going to try and get some damage onto Oner. Faker getting out of there.
Cuz? There's no turrets.
Yeah, the flash has to be used, and he's going to flash. Gets that cease and desist, and now Bulldog with the Mimic Distortion, able to get in there and grab that kill. Taeyoon could be in trouble now as well, as Gumayusi gets the double tap, and now Andal could be in trouble as well, but the Tidal Wave, a little bit short there as Keria, optimistic use of it. Try and lock down the Melio. So a 1-for-1 in the end. Gold very, very even. Guangdong Freaks still firing, still finding these opportunities.
Big mistake from Faker. Could have been an opportunity for T1 to just take a big win as Guma is toasted.
Yeah, welcomed by an equalizer as he walked towards that brush. And Dudu will just obliterate him. Oner with the Mega Cone does make it all the way towards this mid lane. Clear out these minions. So that outer turret will stand for the moment.
And I was not the biggest fan of Dudu going for the Rocket Belt as opposed to what we were all expecting, which is an early Leandris. And I'm sure Huni will have choice words as he does about Rumbles and their itemization. In that scenario, though, it was nice. Got on top of Guma a little bit earlier, and here, big mistake from Faker. As Corki, I think you're always going to feel very safe. They also had a decent amount of vision, but this was on vision. He knew that Cuz was there. He was spotted by Oner. And then here, a really nice counter punch from specifically Oner, Taeyoon, and Ando getting a little bit overexcited, wanting to try and push their lead. And you can do that if the game is in a very rough spot, but you had a shutdown. It's a lot of gold going over to the enemy AD carry.
Yeah, and Taeyoon got a bit baited by Keria there, who is pretty squishy, but he avoided a lot of abilities. As now Cuz running away from Oner here just a little bit. Doesn't exactly have the largest of health bars right now, but does make it to relative safety. It looks like Herald on the minds of T1. And this is the problem, right? When T1 now start fighting around Zeus, that's when things become dangerous. He is very scary. Gumayusi is apparently pretty scary as well. Bloodsong now completed.
Yeah, 2 and 5, but the 2 part is the important one, as well as the fact that, as you point out, he does have his support quest. And possible counter answer for Guangdong, but with the teleport, I think it's just going to be the mid lane turret.
Yeah, so Outer is going to be claimed. And the Rift Herald goes over to T1 here as well. So Faker coming up to tidy up the top lane. The inner turret does stand for now, but it is getting pretty low. Zeus having to invest the teleport to defend is good news. Guangdong Freaks trying to keep this map as open as possible, keep themselves in a bit of control. And I think it's all about trying to get towards that soul, trying to get as much power as you possibly can. Probably would have liked there to be something other than a Chemtech soul, I guess, but it does give you still a little bit of added power in these fights.
And right now, itemization breakpoints are being hit. We already mentioned Guma, even with the fact that he's died a bunch and obviously isn't going to be as high in the CS numbers, still looking great when it comes to his finished items. A lot of burst in that Storm Razor and RFC combo. Is somewhat reliant on mid-game though. And that's the one caveat I would have, is that as we get into the later stages of the game, most of T1's damage output, I think, is going to come from specifically Faker, as opposed to Dilution. I think this build skills as well as some of the other variants that we have seen. But for Kwangdong, my one fear remains the level of execution that's necessary. Because in these type of skirmishy, you know, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3 setups, I think their comp actually does quite well with the Vi to set up a lot of these plays, with the slippery LeBlanc and the burst of Rumble. But will T1 let them 1-4 and 2v2 and 3v3, because they do have the tools, right? Jarvan and Ornn to start these types of fights.
Okay, Andal just kind of exploding here as Oner not wanting to invest the flash. Try and get a knock up onto Taeun. Skuz moving on over to get rid of some vision here. Gumayusi just always looking for these opportunities, kind of bloodthirsty on this Lucian. And it's crazy because he's down CS, he's down kills, he's died 5 times, still got 3 items, never you mind. Just kind of crazy. He has an upgraded Storm Razor here as well. Yeah, it's just another day in the office here, even though the early game went not so good. T1 getting to work on their first Dragon of the game.
Oh, they're actually going to contest. Kwangdong taking a risk. Package is available for Faker.
Yep, feeling the clock a little bit here. Kwangdong Freaks not wanting to give this one up, this advantage that they do have. Oh my goodness, the Light Sunga doing so much work. There's the package delivered to Taeun, who misses the Chains of Corruption, and Faker will keep himself alive. It's a double kill here for Gumayusi, as now Kwangdong Freaks going down solo. Make that one a triple! As Faker looking for these rockets, Gumayusi desperately wanting a quadra kill. He's not going to get it, but they'll grab... Oh, he almost gets it. But they'll grab themselves a Dragon. And Cuz and Dudu just gonna run for the hills.
And the Dragon will go to T1. Kwangdong is able to stay away from a full disaster, trading 3 for 2. The Dragon not going to them is gonna sting though. As we take another look here, it's Faker that sets it all up. Crucially, as you pointed out, in the moment, Faker not only does an incredible amount of damage, and I think even if he ends up dying, isn't really going to make a difference for Kwangdong, but then Taeun also isn't able to actually take him down. Big mistake there. And then Guma, he just goes, he sees the squishies being low, and Andil also took a large amount of damage there. The top half of Kwangdong, I think, looking way better, but the bottom half still struggling a little bit, and they're going to need to keep it together, because even though we are looking at a 2k gold deficit, I think right there you see some of the glimpses of the power that T1 will have in the actual 5v5.
At this time last game, it was a 12,000 gold deficit. So I'm saying that Kwangdong Freaks are moving up 100%. I do want to say that, like, watching that replay once again and following Zeus around, this guy's on is so stupid, man. He wasn't taking any damage, and he was just burning everyone, breathing on everyone, throwing rocks around.
That's rude.
And just
can't breathe on people.
I know. It just looks absolutely immortal, this game, as Oner gets into the brush. Cuz not going to quite find him there. Once again, it's going to be the bowling alley Baron. The one with the hands. And Taeun and Andal back in the mid lane one more time. Looking for a few of these piercing arrows. Not the most dangerous part of the on-hit Varus's kit. Still trying to soften up the members of T1. Faker over here is down in gold, as we can see here. Bulldog's been able to get around the map and get some stuff done. And on the bottom side of the map, Gumayusi, even though he was 2 and 5, with that triple kill, has moved to a 300 gold advantage over Taeun. Not to mention the support item helping out. So, Shelly makes her way in. Oner going to drive this one towards the outer turret in mid. Hope Keria is taking notes. And there it goes. Now could be another charge as Gumayusi looking for Taeun, gets a double tap with the light slinger, but not going to do too much meaningful damage. Will guarantee the charge though, as now Bulldog looking for that flank angle. Let's see what he can find. Cease and desist, Cuz goes in. The equalizer is decent, but Cuz just evaporates. Faker going to be taken down though, as now Bulldog's clone is running amok. Andal going to have to flash, and oh my goodness, Taeun! He was there, then he wasn't, and it's another triple kill for Gumayusi. From 2 and 5 to 8 and 5. Chronicler?
That's a comeback story that I'm sure Kwangdong fans aren't too happy about. And they do take down Faker, but at what cost? Way too much, that's what. That was not a good deal for Kwangdong. Bulldog is going to try and salvage something here, maybe can somehow get himself a miracle steal.
Zeus headbutts the wall, and Bulldog gets caught by the bubble. Still makes it out as the Mega Cone is going to send him to Narnia. And that should mean that the Baron is going to go over uncontested. Dudu not even in the area, wants to get themselves a consolation prize, and he will be able to sort that one out. So the Baron going to Screech and go back to the Void for a moment. T1 going to have a big old purple buff.
And it feels like the trigger is just pulled a little bit too easily here by T1, or sorry, by Kwangdong. You're going into a full 5v5, all in on Faker, who is very, very in a safe position. So the ultimate from Taeyeon ends up being used on Zeus, which Zeus doesn't really care about whatsoever. As we take a look at the Rebel Baron power play, I'm sure T1 will be able to set up with a lot of these outer turrets still available. And then is also forced to flash away from the Oner, which means that once Oner comes around, he is just that. And that cooldown isn't just not available now. Oner can now just EQ and ult, and Taeyeon will probably die every single time.
Yeah, or he stands back really far and all of his structures die.
Yeah, because he does need to hit people.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Maybe Kwangdong, I do hope they can hold on. Game still is a market improvement over the last one, but T1 pushing in now at 26 minutes.
Yeah, these turrets do not stand for very long against this Corki and Lucian, especially not with Bulldog not there to defend. He is going to be able to get themselves a turret on this top side. So there's going to be 5 turrets taken here as now Kaz goes a little bit too far forward. Gumayusi with the culling just goes straight through the Vi, and the rest of the team are also just turning to dust. A double for Faker and a double for Guma, and they are not stopping there. Nexus turrets in their sights, and T1 earning themselves a pretty early night here with a 2-0 over Kwangdong Freaks. Bulldog not even safe on his fountain as T1 get to work. My goodness. They are looking like they're a bit angry about the result of the match against Gen G, and they've tidied things up here, taking down Kwangdong Freaks.